Joining us tonight to help us better understand what is happening here, both in terms of the tragedy, the massacre itself, as well as the investigation into it, former Las Vegas Metro Police Lieutenant and Wounded Blue founder Randy Sutton. Randy, good to have you with us. Let's start out with the timeline here and what we're learning from the law enforcement authorities in Vegas, and that is the shooting itself took place over about 10 minutes, about 72 minutes for law enforcement to secure the scene, if you will, the room in Mandalay Bay from which Stephen Paddock was massacring people by literally the dozens and wounding by the hundreds.
Lou, there's some information that just came out yesterday, as a matter of fact. The individual, this murdering, rampaging monster, Paddock, fired upon that crowd from a devastating position of elevation with incredible weaponry. He took an incredible amount of lives, and he altered the lives of many forever. However, there is a little bit of a misnomer here. The police were actually on the premises at Mandalay Bay taking a report, a crime report. Mm-hmm. And when the initial call came out, the call came out as an active shooter at the concert event. So these two officers, along with several security people from Mandalay Bay, began to run across the street where they thought the shooter was from. Well, at the same time this was taking place, the suspect was had broken out the glass, and it fell down into the valet area. The valets looked up, they heard the gunfire, and they reported the approximate location of the shooter. Now, at this point, the two officers, one of them is a brand new police officer, ran back into the building, went up to the 31st floor, and at that point the other security officer had gotten separated, gone up to the 32nd floor, and was shot. The other officer, the Metro officer, at that point, the shooting had stopped. They went into the stairway and they isolated the room, isolated the hallway, preventing any type of escape, also being cognizant of any other shooters, because remember, during all this madness, it came out that there were other shooters taking place as well. So these officers secured that hallway, making sure that no one came or entered until the SWAT team could get there. Now, the reason for that time period, it actually only took, they were back on the scene within about 12 or 13 minutes, but the shooting had stopped because apparently, from my time reference here, right after the security guard was shot, I think that Paddock turned the .357 on himself and took his own life. And
the security officer, wounded in the leg, stayed with the Metro police officers and some other security officers that had come up from the 31st floor. I mean, it's a remarkable, to me, it's remarkable that those officers charged, if you will, ran to the sound of guns rather than from it, and did not wait simply for a SWAT team. This is one of the things that's happening in law enforcement, is that now with active shooters, police departments all over the country, patrol officers are going straight after the shooter because of what can happen with a person so heavily armed with semi-automatic, and in this instance, as a result of the slide stocks, automatic fire, and the immense loss of life and wounded by the hundreds. I mean, it's extraordinary. So it's really remarkable. What we don't know is why there were 2 meals ordered. We don't know why there's a charger in the room that doesn't go with any of the phones that the phone that Paddock had. Do you have a sense of the answers here?
Well, I do believe that this is part of one of the major cruxes of this investigation at this point is who is this mystery person? Just as you said, there was denoted on the room service that there were 2 diners, and there's also a report that there was a mystery woman seen with this suspect. And the last person to be with him is going to be of critical importance to this investigation. Was it an accomplice? Was it someone who was aiding him? Was it a prostitute that he had called up for his last pleasure? We don't know the answer to these questions. And I think what you heard in the undersheriff's statement about where this investigation is an incredible amount of frustration.
You bet.
These I have from my sources up in the department that this is actually an incredibly frustrating set of circumstances for them, because usually by now you have some sense of motivation, and at this point they simply don't. 5
days later, and we have video from all over the hotel that should be answering part of that. It's almost the appearances. I listen to the sheriff, the undersheriff. I hear frustration. In my judgment, it's frustration. And it's as if they're being slow walked on this investigation by other authorities, whether it be the FBI or some other agency. It's a very peculiar, almost European approach to disseminating information. Very quickly, we're out of time, Randy, but your thought.
Well, I can tell you this. I think the thing that we really need to take pride in is the incredible courage shown by law enforcement, by the amazing compassion shown by those that were taking fire and yet stopped to help those who needed their help even more. I take that and offer it up. I also have a lot of questions, and I got to believe those law enforcement officers want to provide them. Randy Sutton, thanks for being here to help us.